Hey y'all, today we are doing part 2 of the mini garden chores. So these are just little bitty garden chores that I have to do that aren't typically enough by themselves to be a video, but I also think they're important little things. And they're little things that I do, on a weekly basis. Just as I'm walking through my garden, things I'm looking at, things I'm working on, things I'm adjusting like that. So we're gonna go ahead and work in the front yard today. So we're gonna be on the front yard and the side yard and working through everything. As always, make sure you hit that subscribe button and that notification bell so you know when my latest videos are up. And make sure you drop me a comment below. Do you have chores that you do on a weekly basis in your garden? And if so, what are your favorite ones to do? Okay, we're gonna be starting over here by cutting back all the liatris. They bloomed kind of earlier than usual this year because of the heat, and because it was so hot, they really didn't last as long as they typically do. So basically I'm just cutting the stalks all the way back to the ground, and it will leave a little bit of greenery behind, not super attractive greenery. And then this, the leaves that are left behind, they will eventually just kind of brown out and die for the year. Liatris are bulbs, and I love them. I think they're a really fun cut flower. I didn't even get to use these in an arrangement this year because while they were blooming, I was actually out of town. Also, while I'm over here, I'm going to clean up this sage right here. Looks like we've lost some branches. I'm gonna go ahead and cut out the dead portions. I don't know if I love this sage here anymore. It's been struggling. But it's hard to really determine what's struggling because it's struggling and what's struggling because we're in a drought and because we haven't had I can't remember the last day that we didn't have it where it wasn't in the hundreds. So I mean, it's kind of hard to make decisions regarding that. Okay, next we're going to work on cutting back this salvia. It is finished blooming and the blooms aren't super attractive right now. And I've got a mum back here that is trying to grow in. Thin out this petunia a little bit, redirect it back here a little. That kind of fills in that negative space there. So I think I have some poison ivy back here. I'm not very good at identifying it, but I do want to show you how I pull it up. I like to use grocery bags, and I like to double up the bag over my hand because my body does react to poison ivy. And then I like to come through and pull it out. And that's always works really well for me. And then I can just throw it away without it ever touching my skin, without it touching my gloves that I like to use a lot. And that's how I deal with it. And then I just toss it all in the trash. Okay, next I'm going to trim back the hellebore some. Got some old bloom stalks in here. Got a lot of weeding back here. I didn't do a good job mulching this year. It wasn't a priority, and I am suffering the consequences for that. So what I'm gonna go ahead and do is I'm just gonna come through and give this all just like a really nice trim back. It did really great this year. Really happy with it. But I'm gonna let the plant go dormant during this heat and allow it to spend some time just putting kind of effort into the roots, and then it can start flushing back out when we have cooler weather. Okay, I've got a branch in my boxwood back here that is not good. I'm gonna go ahead and just cut it out. I don't want the boxwood wasting energy trying to keep that alive. And I will have a hole in my boxwood, but at least my boxwood is alive and looks better than this. So I think it's a good call. Okay, so my zinnias over here got spider mites pretty bad. And truthfully, it looks like they need to be treated again. So what I'm gonna do right now is I'm actually gonna take the water hose and I'm gonna hit this really hard with water, because spider mites do not like a moist environment. So it's a simple way to do it on, you know, a daily basis and help kind of keep control of the spider mites. So let's knock that out. So coming over here to the hose, it actually reminded me that I bought a new hose to try out. This current hose on here we've had for a lot of years, and it has a big old rip at the very end of it, like closest at the very, very end of it. And so every time I turn the water on, it shoots water everywhere. So let's go ahead and get this hose changed out. This has been here for a lot of years. Okay, so I think I'm going to put a little bit of WD-40 on it and then come back to it in a little bit. Okay, so I'm going to do a voiceover right here because the wind got pretty intense right now, and it was annoying to listen to on the recording. But this area right here are a bunch of dahlias. They've been in the ground for a couple of years, and they have spider mites pretty bad, and they have not even given me one bloom yet this year. So, you know, I was just really tired of looking at them. Maybe dahlias aren't my thing, y'all. I haven't had a lot of luck with them. I've really struggled. So I decided I'll just go ahead and cut these back to the ground, leave the tubers in the ground. And even as I was cutting them back, I noticed that they're trying to flush new growth from down low. So I think it was actually a really good decision just to go ahead and remove all that growth. And then we'll see if they have time to bloom some new blooms in the early fall, mid-fall, late fall, whatever. I'll take even one, will be great. Okay, I actually think that looks a ton better. Some of the tubers actually have some new growth popping up. So I don't know, maybe by pulling off all that old yucky growth that it was really struggling with, maybe this will help it out some. So yeah, and I'm gonna fill this area in with some zinnia seedlings. I think that'd be really nice, just to kind of clean it up a little bit. I think that'd be cool. Okay, so I've got some zinnias here. There's a ton of pollinators on them. Basically, I'm just going through and I'm cutting out the older blooms to help encourage new blooms. So it's super easy. Sometimes I do this, sometimes I don't. really kind of just depends, but I like to keep it fresh. Got all those pollinators on there. Okay, so I have this buddleia, sorry guys, right here that is suffering from spider mites pretty bad. So I'm actually just gonna cut it all the way down to the base of the plant. It will do fine. I had to do this before, and it does absolutely fine, and it flushes back with all new growth because there's no fixing the damage that's currently on there. It's only going to be new stuff that's better. I have been treating this with some insecticidal soap. It is going to get a treatment of neem oil tomorrow. A lot of the garden is actually. So also when you do that, you want to come through and pick up a lot of these dead leaves as well, because spider mites can be hiding in there too. But I know it doesn't look great, but in all honesty, that was actually dead, that growth was not good. So we'll start with all new fresh growth, and it'll flush back. It'll be beautiful for the fall. I had this volunteer meteor verbena. I actually think I'm going to harvest some of these for some arrangements. I think it would be really pretty. Just looking at this guy, this lamb's ear. This guy's definitely on my list to get divided. I think I could get like 4 plants out of it. But I'll be dividing that in the fall, and I'll show you guys a video on that as well. Okay, the next project is over here by these supertunias that are really struggling. I'm going to be adding some more drip lines onto them. I don't think they're getting enough water. And so basically what I'm going to do is I have existing drip lines. So I'm going to use a straight line adapter to go directly into the existing drip lines. And then I'm going to do these 1/4 inch drip lines, and they have drip emitters every 6 inches. I'm going to attach them, so like this, into the bigger existing drip lines, and I'm going to run this guy one piece all the way along here just to give them some extra water, and I'm hoping that that'll help starting to boost these with this crazy heat. I don't know, they might be too far gone. I'm going to start fertilizing them a little bit more regularly and see what I can do, see if I can save them. Let's just get that done. Okay, so here's an existing drip back here. I'm going to use my punch. Put a hole in there. I take my straight line adapter, attach it to the new drip line. All right, and then I'm going to pop that in. All right, and now I'm going to direct it all the way down the line and hook it up on the other side. Okay, so I ran it all the way down and hooked it in on this side. So it runs the entire length all the way under these supertunias to the other side. So that'll work good. That'll add some extra water there. Super simple, easy fix. Once you have drip lines, you can really just add on and do all kinds of different cool stuff with them. Okay, this over here is my Bora. It needs a little trim back. We're not gonna go super far. I'm just going to trim off the spindly top part, and hopefully this will give me a new flush. Well, I don't have to say hopefully. It will. It will definitely get me a new flush. But it hasn't really been flowering as much. Hold on, I'm going to get a new pair of pruners. Okay, scissors. Scissors work better. Okay, I think that looks nice. Definitely refreshed. Looking a ton better. And still green, still pretty, but now it should flush a whole new set of blooms, which would be great. Looks like definitely have some spider mite damage over here on the celosia. I was intending on spraying the garden with some neem oil today, so that'll be good. You definitely want to remove dead plants from your garden because they attract bugs that kill and other diseases. But let me walk you guys over here because we're wrapping up. Sunflowers are looking really nice, really pretty. I did want to show you this guy. This is the sweet almond verbena that I planted, and since I've got this one in the ground, it has started blooming. How gorgeous is that? And it is covered in pollinators, y'all, and it smells amazing. Sweet, yummy. I mean, it smells like, well, almonds. It smells like sweet almonds over here. Absolutely gorgeous. So excited about this shrub and the potential for this area. Oh, so pretty. Okay, while I continued working, my husband, we ended up removing the entire unit that was here. He reminded me that we got that, pretty decorative hose dispenser from a neighbor, and the reason the neighbor gave it to us is because he couldn't get the hose off of the actual dispenser. And I was like, oh, and that was like 4 years ago. That sucker was not coming off anytime soon. So we just removed it for now. We'll think of another situation in the future. So he's hooked up the new hose over here, and let me show you the brand that I got. It is called a Pocket Hose Silver Bullet. It is 100 feet long. It has no seams to tear or burst and expands with water pressure. And the end of it has a pinpoint, full point, and fine mist, which I like all of that, especially the fine mist for what I'm about to do right now, because I'm wanting to just moisten some areas where there are spider mites. Spider mites do not like moist areas. They like it hot and dry. And so a lot of times I like to come in and just wet that area down in the evenings. I'm not really worried about mildew or anything at this point in time because the spider mites are doing like way worse damage than anything like that. So let's go ahead and try this new hose out on those zinnias that have had a spider mite infestation. Now, before I spray these, I did want to show you the damage. So this damage is permanent at this point. So there's no fixing that current damage. All that I'm trying to do is just get rid of the spider mites at this point or keep them at bay. And so basically we're looking at new growth right there. So all the new growth should be more green. But let's go ahead and soak down this area. Just with some water. I think it'd be really great. And then I'm going to try to hit it with neem oil maybe this evening.
You want me to leave the old sprayer out here?
Yes. I already did it, yeah. Thank you. All right, we just want to show you guys real quick. We currently have it filling up, and if you look closely, you can actually see the hose growing in different areas. You can see it moving. So it's getting bigger and bigger and bigger. Okay, so then if we turn it off, Jeff's gonna turn the water off, and then he's gonna release the pressure. And while he's releasing the pressure, come over here, sweetie, right here in the middle. He's gonna show you guys the nozzles, the options. So there's a pinpoint nozzle, you keep turning it and it gets more of like a mist, and then full on stream. So that's really nice. And then you can go all the way to the left to turn it off, but we're not going to do that right now. But I basically want you to step out of the view, Jeff. I want you guys to take a look at the hose and look at it. It's actually shrinking, like right in front of us. Isn't that creepy looking? I super love it. So as the water, as it releases the pressure, the entire thing is shrinking down. Super cool. Okay, so all done for the day. So I'm actually thinking about making this like a weekly series, basically like a maintenance day, where I just go through the gardens and I do weeding or pruning, or I talk about, you know, what I'm assessing, if there's any kind of like insect damage, you know, powdery mildew, whatever is kind of going on in the garden. And I'm kind of thinking about making this a weekly thing because I feel like there are a lot of little things I miss that I don't get to tell you guys that I do on a weekly basis, and they're important for my garden. I just don't usually talk about them because they're things that take 2 or 3 minutes at a time. So let me know if you're interested in this being kind of a weekly series of maintenance within my garden. All right, you guys, as always, she's a mad gardener or a decorator or anything else that she wants to be. Thanks, y'all.